I'm going to teach you a little lesson about swearing. I want my family to know that I do not swear, which is kind of a miracle because I was raised in a home where my dad was a farmer and farmers all swear. And my dad actually could swear. I was talking to my brother Blair the other day. My dad didn't use real vulgar words, but he knew how to say damn and hell and a few other things like that. But when he'd swear, it almost made it sound right, like you're supposed to talk that way. I've tried swearing in my life, but it doesn't work for me. I don't have the rhythm. I don't have the punchline. I look and sound like a moron. So I've chosen in my life not to swear. One time I was teaching seminary in Beaver, Utah, and the lesson was on profanity. And so I was just really waxing eloquently and teaching these young kids they're not supposed to swear. And this little Yardley kid, I've forgotten his name. Oh, it's Dale Yardley. That's what it was, Dale Yardley. And as I was just wrapping up my testimony and the importance of having a clean mouth and not swearing, he raised his hand and said, and he spoke in a little southern accent and a little bit of a twang in his nose. He said, "But Brother Samson, you don't milk cows for a living." And I said, "You got me, Dale. You got me." Today is September the 7th. 2021. Yesterday was a spiritual experience for me. We received a phone call from our missionary, Eli Sampson, who's laboring in the Boise, Idaho mission. And Eli is just really some kind of special. And we spent probably a half hour at least talking. And as we were talking and he was sharing experiences and what have you, and he's had a lot of success as a missionary. He's baptized more people than I did in Scotland, and he's been out just a year. I think he said he comes home next July. And he also said he's pretty much given up hope to ever going to Peru, but he can still speak, he can read Spanish. He said, "I can't speak it very well, but I can read Spanish and understand." But I think he's happy as a clam right where he's at and doing what he's doing. And then as we got ready to conclude, he said, "I want to tell you something." And then he reminded me when I had come down with my illness, I had my boys come down and part of our family was here, and they gave me a priesthood blessing. Now, prior to that, I should back up, I knew that he was struggling just a little bit, coming out to BYU. He was a straight A student and everything, but it was just hard. A little bit of anxiety maybe, or maybe he was just struggling a little bit and having some adjusting, I suppose. And I asked him if he needed a blessing, and he said no. So then my boys gave me a blessing for my health issues. And then I gave Jacqueline a blessing because she was expecting twins, and she ended up giving birth, I think, at 32 weeks. And so her life, was in peril. She was having some challenges herself. Her blood pressure was going through the roof. So I gave her a blessing. And at that point, Eli said, "I think maybe I need a blessing." So he walked up, sat in a chair, and I had the opportunity of giving him a priesthood blessing. And so that was the end. I gave him a blessing, and everybody, went on. Well, all this time now has gone by. He's reminding me of that, and I'd even kind of forgotten about that. I had to think hard for a minute to remember what had happened. And then he said, "I just wanted to tell you guys," he calls Grandma and Grandpa guys, "but I wanted to tell you guys that was the most spiritual experience I've ever had." And I was talking to Peyton a moment ago and telling him about that. You never really know when you bless somebody's life. We can all think of where people have blessed our lives, but we don't really, most people don't ever come and tell us, "Hey, you blessed my life." So that was a sweet experience for me and for Grandma to listen to Eli bear his testimony, to see the change. He got a haircut, man. He's got a good barber. He looked handsome. He had the best looking haircut I'd ever seen. I told him that. He's just a good boy. He's just a good boy. When I was 67 years old, I was called to be the bishop of the singles ward here in the American Fork Central Stake. We had about 200 young people in our ward, and every Sunday we would get about 125 to come to church. And then in the summertime, when BYU and Rexburg and all these different places, Snow College, were out, then we would balloon that up to 150, 60, sometimes 170 people come to sacrament meeting. One of the enjoyable things, though, in being the bishop of the singles ward, is I had the opportunity of helping young people get ready to go on a mission. However, I noticed there was quite a difference between the young men of today compared to the young men in my day. Most of the young men today went on a mission. Not everyone, but almost everyone from our ward at least, did not have a girlfriend. Back in my day, we all had girlfriends, which meant we all got a Dear John, including me. Now, When I got my Dear John letter, I can remember opening it up, and the first thing it said was, Dear Dennis, I have become engaged. And I thought, oh, well, that's great. And so Kay Christensen was my companion at the time. I don't have a copy of that letter. I don't know what I did with it. I probably tore it up and threw it in the wind. But I do have a copy of the letter I wrote back. So I thought you guys might be interested to know what I wrote. I'm going to read this. March 15th, 1964. Dear Bonnie, I received your letter of engagement today. Yikes, your timing is impeccable. We have 6 elders in our district and 4 of us received a Dear John this month. I think Elder Cunningham was taking his rejection the worst. He thought he was really in love. The rest of us are doing okay. It hurts, but we all get over it. I personally don't take rejection real well, but what the heck. I understand getting a Dear John is just part of what makes it a great missionary. So there you go. I'm now officially on the road to glory. I do want to wish you the best, though. I really do. My dad was giving me a bad time and quizzing me about giving you a kiss at the airport. He wanted to know if I was going to do it. I told him, no, I'm now a missionary and missionaries don't kiss. However, at the airport, I crumbled under pressure and broke the mission rules and kissed you anyway. Sorry about that. I promise it won't happen again. It was Bob Hope who made the statement, thanks for the memories. I borrow those lines from him and say to you, thanks for the memories. You were the first girl I ever dated and the first girl I ever kissed. I learned a lot about dating and how to treat a girl, things you should do, and a few things you shouldn't do. Tell your folks hello from me. I'm grateful for their friendship as well. I learned a lot from your father about war teaching. I think he's probably the best war teacher in the church. In Scotland, I have learned a few new words, such as cheerio, which is used as an expression of good wishes on parting or goodbye. So, cheerio.